Good afternoon. This is Jerry Gulke again with the this week's wrap-up of the grains. Kind of an exciting week considering that we have excellent planting progress. We have some plants reporting to us that they'll be 50% done by Sunday night in Minnesota. So they're going gangbusters. In fact, I think I'm waiting in northern Illinois until next week to get started. I think if I plant next week, and by the time corn gets high enough that frost will hurt it, it'll have to be mid-May before a killing frost would affect me, and I think we can take that chance. It looks like the trends are for warmer and warmer, and oddly enough, maybe not as wet as we've been seeing for the last 18 months. So that'll be something to look over our shoulders to see what's coming. In the news this week, of course, the last couple of days was the volcano, I believe it is, in Iceland, and had some weather people talking about the fact that this can affect cooling of the temperatures, maybe 1 degree on the planet. There'll be more of this stats coming out, but for now, what we've got out of QTA, the people we work with, is that actually the last times that we had that, Mount Manitoba, I guess, was one of it, we have a tendency to increase the average yield in corn because it's one of those seasons where we just don't get that hot weather, it doesn't get real cold, and maybe kind of like last year, which is what some of these guys are thinking. And so he gets us off to an early start, and we got chances for a big crop coming, and we just had indications out of various parts of the country that, by golly, the corn ground's working out better than they thought, and they're going to plant more corn than they thought. So the market, I don't think has a clue of what we're going to plant yet because we're not even totally sure. But certainly there'll be some controversy about what this possibility with the volcano might be. Some people talking the summer without with no warm weather and that type of thing. And so we'll see. But for all practical purposes, we don't want heat. And if we can just not get it too cool this summer, we could take out last year's yield. This week, corn is up 16 cents, wheat up 24 cents. That's softer than a wheat in Chicago. Beans up 28 cents, meal up $15 a ton, and oil down 23. And if you may have recall in the news, there's been a lot of traders wanting to buy oil, sell meal, because oil is going to be used in all the biodiesel and all that stuff coming down the road. This market gets leaning the wrong way or leaning one way, and suddenly money flows in and knows that there's a lot of shorts that can have to cover themselves. And I think that's part of what we're seeing in this whole marketplace is that a lot of money can come in at once and make the best laid plan them in just go awry all of a sudden. And, of course, for corn to go up 16 cents, knowing full well we're going to see a big increase in planted acres, it's kind of interesting to me, and I'm sure interesting to a lot of traders who are bearish like I am. So for the week, it looks pretty good. Technically, I would invite you to take a look at some charts. And first of all, let's talk about November beans. And again, a chart is just a pictorial representation of the trade that went on during the week. Your opinion, my opinion, and the rest of the world's, and we end up with a high, low, and last and close. And lo and behold, this week, last 2 days, we broke out of a sideways trading range that had us stopped at around 950 November beans for about 8 to 10 weeks now. And we broke out to the upside, and not only that, broke some downward trend lines. I had heard once that trend lines are made to be broken, but so it is. We've got these beans headed higher, and they closed at 962.5 today, roughly. That's about 62 cents higher than I thought they'd be at this time of the year when we were going to have a good season going. And now we're well ahead of our crop guarantee. So we've got, not only do we have risk on the downside always, of course, but now we've got risk from where we're at today to where our GRIP or our 85% or 80% CRC will kick in. So the higher it goes, the more the risk. And I think we'll begin to look at some put strategies where we buy one put at the money perhaps, and then sell one $1, $1.50 out of the money, so keeping the cost so that if it falls that low, once it gets to the point where our options aren't working any longer, then our crop insurance takes over for the reason we bought it, and then we're covered again. So you'd hate to lose that first dollar out of these beans. That's $50 an acre, but be that as it may, it's higher. Weekly's looking good, and just about every conceivable technical system is long now, and I guess we'll see how they react next week after we get the crop report out. Not a lot of beans planted, but in the south they're planting them, but maybe we'll get traders nervous that there's too much corn being planted. If you go to corn, whether you go to old crop or new crop, but I'll look at July, and we're trying to rally December corn above those lows that they made back in February. We broke down below it. It looked like we were headed for 320 maybe in July. You know, that party isn't over yet. But we're starting to get back above 372. We closed there today, 372 and a quarter. So I think you need a solid week higher to close up versus 375 by the end of the week, next week. But you don't want to see it to go to 380 and then close at 375. So I think that we're working on it. The technical systems are long. I guess I would look for a failure somewhere along the line. Like if we open higher next week and we're trading 3 or 4 cents higher, you don't want to see the market close below this week's low or this Friday's low, perhaps, and make some sort of a technical key reversal because the technicians will get on top of that. And then finally, the wheat. There's the one that, you know, we have 1 billion bushels left over for each year for the next 2 years. The market believes that we're going to have to feed wheat at some point in time, and here we have wheat going up on the week as well, and it's actually higher than it's been in the last 10 or 15 days now. And usually in a technical situation, you'll see some lows being made, and back in October, that low was first week in October was about 485. And that's when we kind of knew we were not going to get any wheat planted this year to speak of, maybe 3 or 4 million acres less. We went down and broke that level back at the end of March, in the middle of March, about a month ago, and went down. And, of course, most technicians and most traders would say, all right, you broke last fall's low. You had all this time to rally the market, couldn't do it. Now we're finally going to head for a price that somebody's going to use it if they got to use it for ethanol. And we went lower and turned right around, went back up, and now we're trading 15 cents above that 485. So when in making some conclusions, these traders will say, well, what shouldn't happen? It shouldn't go back above 485 again. And it did. So, and it also broke a downtrend similar to what's happening in corn and beans. So you've got breaking a downtrend. You've got every conceivable reason why the market ought to go up except fundamentally. I mean, why it should go up except fundamentally. We're awash in grain worldwide. You know, over 1.2 billion bushels of beans coming in from Brazil. But oddly enough, this week we've got China saying, gosh, we may buy a lot more beans next year. It looks like we're going to buy 1 million tons more than we thought before. We just got an appetite there that every year that I've been watching this, it seems like we underestimate the demand for China. And in the year they were stockpiling, suddenly you've got a lot of beans in their possession. They could break the market anytime they wanted to, but they're not. And they're also trying to suppress the corn prices internally. We're hearing a lot of rumors this week about, well, when's China going to buy corn? When's China going to buy corn? And if they do that, that can change a lot of things. The last time they bought it was in 1995 in that area, and they bought about 400 or 500 million bushels. That, if you recall, we were never going to see $2.40 again, and we didn't. We went to $5 on the Chinese buying. They bought up our excess supplies, and we had it to sell. So, and what's coming down the road again, of course, in June or maybe sooner, is the EPA looking at extending this the ethanol to a higher percentage. We desperately need to do that, and especially now with the corn out there, maybe approaching 1.9 billion bushels. The government says maybe 2.0 billion bushels this year, and if we get more extra acres again and an average crop like we had last year, same yield, then we get 2 billion again. But the market is just kind of acting like it's ignoring that, saying, okay, you're going to get the crop in early, everything is good now, prove to me that you can grow it again, and if you look back out there, fundamentally that up, but it may well be that again, and this is a good time if you're interested in getting some updated charts. We've been following these along for a few weeks, and if you'd like them, why, same procedure. Send Ashley an email at ashley@gulkegroup.com, and she'll email you a copy out. If you don't have email, just call us at 312-896-2090, and we'll send a copy out in the mail. Pretty interesting, and maybe we can point out some things by Sunday when they'll be on that's to where we may some stopgap reasoning to say at some point in time, if you don't want to sell now, this is where you got to pull the trigger on some. So with that, have a safe spring, and it kind of looks like by the time we got started last year, we may be all done this year. So that's good news for a change. Have a good weekend.